Hi guys, in this video, we're gonna talk all about 5 fresh Reels ideas that you can use to market your small business with Instagram Reels or grow your personal brand through Instagram Reels. So I am very excited to chat with you guys all about this. If you ever come to, if you ever want to create Instagram Reels and for some reason you just have no idea what to create, these are gonna give you a lot of ideas and a lot of things you can do to create Reels from. So I'm very excited about that. And also before we jump in, if you want 10 additional ideas that I'm not going to mention in this video, there is a link down below for 10 fresh Reels ideas that you can use, and it has links to exact audio sounds, how to use them, all of that stuff. So be sure to grab that freebie down below. I also just want to mention, because this is coming out on October 26th, I am filming this in advance, but when this comes out, this is the day after my Instagram Reels mini course comes out, and that feels really wild to say, but if you are interested at all, we will drop the link down below because it's going to be on sale only through this Friday. So if you want to get launch week pricing, be sure to check it out, see if it's for you, and I would love to see you inside of there. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the ideas. Idea number 1 is to give a quick tip for your ideal client. And you can really do this in a lot of different ways, but I think this one can be really impactful because if you're speaking directly to your ideal client, those are the people that you're going to be attracting to your account through Reels, which I think is really important because Reels is being pushed to a cold audience. So a couple examples of how you could do this. Number 1, there is a trend happening right now that's called questions I get asked. And I'll put it right here on the screen, and any Reels that I mentioned, we'll also put a link down below if you want to check it out and see the exact my Reels that I've created that are good examples. But this is a really good example of how you could take questions that your ideal client might be asking themselves, misconceptions they might be believing, or things that they might ask you, and put that into a reel that can be very targeted for your ideal client. Because with Reels, what's going to make them impactful is if you make sure they are attracting the right people to your account. So another example of how you could do this is literally just talk face to camera, hold your phone up, record yourself talking into the camera. And you want to make sure there's good and bad ways on how to do this. And I talk about that in my course and how to do it well. But essentially you want to make sure it's fast, quick, to the point. And when we talk about giving a quick tip for your ideal client too, I just want to point out that when it comes to, helping your ideal client, giving tips in Reels isn't really the place to give an A to Z plan on how to do everything that you offer. It's to give one quick tip or one quick hack that's going to make their life easier. So when you're thinking about, what you could do with that trend, what you could do when you're talking to the camera, think about that. What's one quick thing that could make their life easier? Not here are the 10 billion tips that you could possibly give and try to cram that into one reel. It's going to be more impactful if you pick one tip that they can implement right away and see results. Idea number 2 is to share something that would be relatable to your ideal client. And I know that both of these tips, I'm mentioning your ideal client. This is why it's so important. And again, we dive into this in the Reels course, how to figure this out and all of that. But I talk about this because you want to make sure they're actually impactful and attracting the right people. So you can jump on trends and create Reels that are going to essentially be relatable to your ideal client. A couple examples of this is I recently did a trend where it starts out I was busy thinking about, and then it jumps into these noises where you're oh my gosh, you're thinking about something and it's just totally crazy or something like that. And so I used that trend recently to relate to how I teach Reels, and that did really, really well for me. So you can take a trend like that and put your own spin on it and make it so that it would be relatable to the people that you serve, right? So for me, with people who are creating Reels, thinking about what are some crazy things you might think about when you're creating Reels. And so you can take that concept and apply it to literally any type of brand or business that you have, right? And idea number 3 is to share either a process or transformation or a before and after. Think about how that could apply to what you do and who you are and how you could share something like that. Reels is a really great place to share stories or transformations or how things have changed, right? And so if you can find a way to apply that concept to what you do and attracting people to your account that are going to be your potential customers, right? And if I just want to point this out too. I get a lot of questions from you guys saying, well, I'm just a personal brand or I'm a blogger or something like that. Even if you're any of those things, you are a business. At the end of the day, if you want to, either make money from what you're doing, you want to go full time with what you're doing, you have to think about it like a business. And so if you can think about, going back to this idea, think about how you can share some sort of transformation that can be so impactful with Reels. Even think about, I like to think about it as the wow factor, right? Like when someone sees a before and after, it makes them go, oh my gosh, that's insane, or that's so cool. And it can be something as simple as maybe a transformation your client has once they purchase something from you, or maybe someone that you've helped, or maybe a transformation you've experienced, or maybe a before and after of a photo you've edited. It could be so many different things, right? Depending on what your business is. But I think that can be something that can be really impactful if you're willing to apply that concept to Reels and the Reels that you're making. And I just want to throw in a little bonus tip right here. So when you're creating your Reels and actually filming them, adding in transitions can be very impactful too. It's almost giving applying the same concept, even if you're giving, going back to the other idea of giving a quick tip for your ideal client, you could add in transitions. So either you changing outfits or spinning around and you're in a different location, anything like that can actually make your reel more engaging, even if it doesn't have a lot to do with what you're sharing in the reel. So I just wanted to share that too. It's almost applying the same concept of that wow factor, right? Of people seeing a transformation or a transition and applying it to how you're filming your reels as well, not just with an idea. Idea number 4 is to inspire your audience. And this is one that I didn't really tap into a whole lot until this summer with Instagram Reels. And I started creating more reels that are a little bit more inspirational and motivational, and I have been floored with how well those reels have done. And a caveat here, you do have to make sure, again, that it makes sense for your account, that you're applying it to who you are, what you do, how you show up and help the world, right? You need to make sure that it actually makes sense. Right, I feel like that might be obvious, but make sure that you're creating a reel that is still going to apply. When someone sees your reel and then they go to check out your account, that it makes sense based on the reel that they just saw, and it would make them want to follow you. So I'll also share a story. So I was listening to a podcast. I think at this point, it was sometime last year. It was a long time ago. I don't even know what podcast it was. But they were talking about how they've used Instagram Reels and they had a reel hit 2 million views. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting because Reels was so new. And so figuring out what was working with Reels was still a very new thing. But this person mentioned that the reel was about how to light a candle or something along those lines. And even though it hit 2 million views, they themselves, I think, were a social media agency or something along those lines. And they only gained 80 followers from that reel because that reel just really had nothing to do with who they are, who they serve, and attracting the right people. And this also just illustrates the point that views are not everything, right? It needs to be targeted for your specific audience and the people you want to attract in order to be impactful for your business or for growing your following, right? You need to make sure that it makes sense, right? But looping it back around to inspiring your audience to under this idea. So there's a few different ways you could do this. You could either just talk to the camera yourself, right? Pretty simple. There's trends where you can give a peek into your daily routine or your habits or the things that you're doing. And there's some really cool audios that you can use to do that. I personally have not done that route yet. Another one that's been really impactful for me is there's a reel that became popular, and it's more you pop up on the screen and you say, hey, just a reminder. And then you give up something motivational and make sure it makes sense for your account. But I did that, and I think mine says something along the lines of your hard work will pay off. I'll put it right here so you can see. It did really well for me. It's the reel that has the most views for me, I believe, at this point, over 900,000 views, which is insane, and has grown my following so much because it makes sense for the kind of people I'm trying to attract. I'm trying to attract go-getters, trying to attract other business owners, entrepreneurs. So those are just a few different examples. I've also done some lip syncing reels with like motivational, lines or quotes or something like that. You can also do that and either lip sync to it or add videos or photos or whatever of yourself working. So those are just a few examples of how you can think about inspiring your audience. I think that can actually be really impactful and help to have your audience feel more connected to you, because you're not just giving them valuable information, but you're inspiring them into action to either do the thing that you help them with or to purchase your product or anything along those lines, however it makes sense for your brand. Idea number 5 is to share something about yourself more personally. Now, when I say that, I do not mean you have to share everything about yourself online, right? We talked about this in the personal branding video. We'll link that down below. And basically what I mean here is you can share, little, whatever you're comfortable sharing online. You can share little things about yourself, whether, for me, that looks like sharing about my dog, sharing about my husband, sharing about how I love plants, how I love chai lattes. Like, there's so many different little things I like to share, and to give people a peek into who I am beyond just what I do and building a personal brand. I think that's something that's really important if you are an entrepreneur and you have dreams of doing all these different things in your business. Instead of just building your business on the foundation of what it is that you do, if you build your business based on your personal brand, you're going to be able to pivot and do so many things. And I've already seen this in my business, and bring people along on that journey and be able to easily change what it is that you offer and still have people follow along with you, even if maybe they won't purchase every single thing that you offer at every single season of your business. But if they love you as a person, they're probably still going to follow along, and eventually they might become a customer and they'll support you. So an example of a personal branding reel, what I would say is a more personal reel, is I actually did a reel where it was like the sound. I love this movie. If you guys know the movie Enchanted, I'm obsessed. It's one of my favorite movies. But there's a scene where the chipmunk is talking about what's gonna happen to the princess. And so he's going apple, and then he's saying, no thank you, is good. I could quote that all day long. But basically, that was put into a reel by someone and started to become trending. And it's more the idea of maybe there's something in your life that you were offered and you weren't sure about, but then you went for it and it turned out amazing. And for me, I use that for my personal brand to talk about getting married super young. So I got married when I was only 20 years old. And I talk about that experience a lot, on my Instagram. It's a part of my personal brand. And this was a really cool way for me to talk about it, to not only jump on a trend, but for me to also talk about something a little bit more personal, even though I'm super comfortable sharing that and sharing that story with others. And it turned into this awesome reel where not only was I sharing about something more personally, but it prompted my audience. If you go to that reel, we'll link it below, it prompted my audience to start commenting, and some of you guys probably commented, their love stories, how they met, whether they got married young or they got married older, and it was just such a positive, uplifting space, and such a cool thing to see how so many were either saying oh, I love that you got married young. I didn't get married young, but that is so cool. Or other people saying I got married young too. This is so awesome. We can connect in this way. So I think that's something that can actually be really impactful for your brand. And kind of jumping off of the inspiring idea of also giving people a peek into you and who you are, because they probably can't connect. You guys probably can't connect with the fact that I educate other people on Reels and create courses and products and all this stuff. But you can probably connect to the fact that I love my dogs, or I have a favorite drink I drink all the time. So that's just something that I want to throw in here that can actually be really impactful. Even if you have a business, sharing a little peek behind the curtain of who you are and what the other things you love personally can be very impactful. And again, we talk more about that in that personal branding video. So if you want to dive into it more, be sure to watch that. All right, guys, so that pretty much wraps it up for this video. Again, my new Reels mini course just launched. I'm so excited. So if you haven't checked it out at all, be sure to head to the link. There's a link down below. You can check it out, get all the details. It'll be on sale until this Friday, but even after this Friday, it's gonna be available at any point. So if you're watching this after the week that this launches, you can totally jump in at any time and learn all about Instagram Reels. It's essentially going to be this start to finish picture of how to use Reels, because I hear some frustrations from a lot of you guys. Either it's I don't know how to come up with ideas idea, so I haven't even started with Reels, or I don't know all the technical aspects of Reels. Or I know a lot of you have tried creating Reels, and maybe you've created a handful or you've created a lot of Reels, but you're not getting any traction with them. You're not getting the views you would like to see, and you're not seeing it make an impact on your brand or business. And so this course really is like a deep dive into all of those things and giving you a good look, like start to finish. What are the things you need to know? What are the things you need to have in place? What are the things you need to do? What are the things you need to think about to actually make Reels make an impact on your business or your brand, whatever it is that you do? And so yeah, I'm super excited about it. It's gonna be amazing. I seriously am so pumped. And at this point, I guess we'll have already welcomed some students in, which is like really exciting to think about. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, hit subscribe, hit the like button. All of those things truly do help so much. I know I say it every single time, but it really does help. And I upload new videos every Tuesday at noon Eastern Standard Time. So if you subscribe and turn on the notification bell, you'll know every single time a new video launches. So thank you guys so much. Cannot wait to share more next week, and I will see you guys then. Bye guys.